Hey, this is Corey from Wolfpack Woodcraft, and the book of the week is The Bushcraft Field Guide to Trapping, Gathering, and Cooking in the Wild. And so this is the last book we're going to talk about in this series because it's the last book that I own in this series. And this book doesn't get as much attention as I think it should. This is actually a really good book. I actually really enjoy this one. And the difference here is it is about trapping, gathering, and cooking, but it starts all the way from basic 101 to super advanced techniques in both trapping, gathering, and cooking. And so it's going to talk about bringing food from home, dehydrated meals like Mountain House, canister stoves, alcohol stoves. It's going to talk about the general basic things all the way to different ways of starting fire, cooking over a fire, making a tripod to hang over the fire, cooking that way, grills, all the way into making fish nets to go fishing with, trapping, primitive trapping, so like metal traps, the primitive traps, hunting, stalking animals, animals that you can eat. There's a whole bunch of recipes. I think there's even a section where it talks about recipes like possum and non-traditional meats and non-traditional food. And so it's a really widespread book. It starts all the way from the beginning, takes you all the way to the way it advanced off-grid living again. But it's a super good book. But let's go through it together here. Time spent. Was it worth the time spent reading? Yes, I learned a lot from this book. I was excited to learn the different things. It was fun learning about different things. The recipes are really cool. And even just the different ways of cooking fire, like how to make a oven, cooking over the fire compared to next to the fire. All these things that are really, I learned a lot from this book. Is it easy to read? Yes, just like every other book in this series. There's chapters, and the chapters are broken into little segments. So you have basic equipment, single pot cooking, pros and cons of additional cooking equipment, care for cooking. There's a whole bunch of little blurbs inside of each chapter. So I can easily pick this up, read a little blurb, go do something else, come back, read another little blurb. And so it's very, if I have a few minutes, I can easily pick this up, read that little blurb, and then go back doing whatever I need to do. I don't have to dedicate a lot of time to this book. I don't have to read an entire chapter. I don't have to read a bunch. Each blurb is a couple paragraphs to maybe a page long, so you can read the little blurbs fairly quickly. What I learned worth the time spent. Very much so. I learned a lot from this book. And again, even the basics of cooking over the fire compared to next to the fire, or making a little oven, or using a Dutch oven, or all the little different things that I haven't personally used. I find it very fascinating, the differences and how the different ways of doing things can manipulate cooking, and how it will cook faster this way compared to that way, and cooking over coals compared to cooking over a flame. These are all things that I found very fascinating. Happy to add to the collection. This is a book that I really enjoyed. I enjoyed it a lot. But if I'm looking for recipes, there are other books that have they're recipe specific books, like Cooking Over a Campfire recipe book. If it comes to gathering and foraging, there are other books that are better at that. This one does have colored pictures for wild edibles and stuff, but there are other books that if I want to forage and gather, there's other books that are better at that. And the same with trapping. Primitive trapping is illegal in Minnesota, so I can't do that. And so a lot of that stuff I'm not familiar with, I'm not going to do. And if I did, again, there's a dedicated book to it. And so this is just again, it's 101, it's basics, all the way to advanced. But this will really get you into the hobby. This is a really good first book. Right? If you want to get into the more advanced ways of cooking and gathering and trapping, this is a great place to start. But once you get past this book, there's other ones that you're probably going to gravitate more than this one. Aesthetics, Nature, and Appreciation of Beauty. Again, this is a great book. It has colored pictures. It has hand-drawn pictures. And this whole series does a very, very good job of showing you exactly what you need to see to understand what it is you're reading, right? So there are pictures and diagrams and even colored pictures, and so that you can see what they're talking about, so you get a better understanding of what exactly it is you're reading. And it's very good book. So let's rate it. This will get an 8 out of 10 for me. I highly suggest it if you want to get into more advanced ways of cooking or get into cooking in nature. This is a good starting point. I would suggest this book for somebody that wants to get started in the old traditional ways of doing things. This is a good one. But again, if you're looking for a campfire cookbook, there are better options. If you're looking for a foraging plant identification book, there are much better options. This is just to get you started. Okay? So with that being said, I will leave a link to this book in the description box down below. I will see you on next week's video, where we're going to start talking about books outside of this series, and I can't wait to see you there.